Good evening, thank you for joining us.
On tonight's programme, tackling hatred and hostility, a new hate crime strategy on Teesside after a 17% rise in incidents.
A waste warning. Households in Northumberland can expect stiffer penalties for continually putting the wrong items into their recycling bins.
In sport, Borough's biggest away win of the season as they thrash QPR in a big boost for their promotion hopes.
And the beach bets why this famous stretch of coastline could be the secret to success at this week's Cheltenham Festival. First tonight, a new 10-year hate crime strategy has launched today in the Cleveland police area. It's aimed at tackling crimes motivated by race, religion, sexuality, gender and disability.
The plan is being implemented after a spike in hate crimes on Teesside last year, which saw a 17% rise, and in response to the Middlesbrough and Hartlepool riots of 2024.
The organisers say they want everyone in the area to be able to live free from hatred and hostility motivated by prejudice, as Chris Jepson reports.
Shazia runs this community gym in Middlesbrough which supports women from diverse backgrounds. She says in the last couple of years much of that support has been for victims of racial hate crimes.
It's not so much if you're a Pakistani or an Indian, it's more if you're a Muslim. That's definitely increased and you hear that all the time. Even things like, I've heard women say, like, we walk into a shop sometimes and we feel like when we've got a headscarf on, we treat differently. When the riots happened, they were really scared. They just didn't know what to do. They didn't understand who to speak to, who to call. It really scares me as, I'm a Muslim myself. And sometimes I worry about our future, our kids in this country.
Authorities have today launched the Cleveland Hate Crime Strategy aimed at education, early intervention and building resilient communities. In Cleveland, there were more than 1,700 hate crime offences in the year to March 25, up by 17% on the previous year. Hate incidents hit 1,800, a rise of nearly 15%, and racially motivated hate crimes rose by nearly 28%, with more than 1,400 recorded.
Our hate crime charter, which lots of organisations across Cleveland have already signed up to. We need to widen that out to the public now as well, and make sure that everybody knows exactly how to report, exactly where to go, and we can bring those rates down. I also want to make sure that just generally people feel safer, that people in this area, no matter what your background, no matter where you've come from, you feel safe in Cleveland and you're welcome here.
The Middlesbrough and Hartlepool riots will have impacted on the latest data, and for those working in restorative justice, it's key to educate and engage both victims of hate crime and perpetrators.
Bringing the offender and the victim together has a significant impact. They look at the person behind the name calling, the abuse, the threats, and realise, actually, we're really not that different. A case about a young man who was out in the nighttime economy, got drunk, was thrown out of one premise and ended up being barred by a black DOS member of staff, was racially abusive, racially threatening, and then went on the Divert programme, which is intensive work with probation, and it's made a significant impact. There's a wonderful letter of apology being written, explaining that I'm ashamed of what I did, I didn't mean anything, there to hurt you, you were there to keep me safe, and I behaved appallingly, and both sides have now come together, forgiven, shaken hands, and are moving forward.
Tackling hate crime on Teesside won't be easy, but with all the agencies working together, they hope this cohesive strategy will improve the situation for victims. Chris Jepson, ITV News, Stockton.
Well, meanwhile today, the government has set out plans to improve social cohesion around the county. Our political correspondent Tom Sheldrick is at Westminster. Tom, how will that work?
Labour ministers here say they're acting against a backdrop of rising hate crime and extremism. They're pledging to build closer relationships between communities and restore national pride. In terms of how they'll go about that, we're told there'll be a greater expectation that people coming to live in the UK learn English. The government will bolster security measures to stop hate preachers and extremists coming into the country and crack down on extremist influences within some charities and universities. The Conservatives say they launched their own similar plan last week to tackle separatism in Britain. This is an increasingly contested issue politically. Different parties are accusing each other of dividing people. They're also trying to come up with the answers to some voters' concerns around immigration and integration.
Tom Sheldrick in London, thank you very much indeed.
Now, Northumberland County Council says it's costing more than £1 million a year to properly dispose of waste which is incorrectly put into household recycling bins. Items like food, clothing and electrical goods are some which most frequently appear.
Nearly a quarter of roadside recycling bins are contaminated, and that waste often spreads to impact other items. Residents are now being warned that repeat offenders risk their collections being suspended or even withdrawn. Johnny Blair reports.
Checked, okayed and emptied. These bins passed the roadside inspection. This one didn't. The black bag inside means it's tagged and flagged to the owner. Northumberland County Council says that almost a quarter of material collected from roadside recycling bins is contaminated with things that shouldn't be there, like nappies, food and electrical goods. Wayward waste means added cost to the council, predicted to be more than £1 million a year.
Once the waste is contaminated, it's too dirty to be recycled and therefore gets sent down to be burnt at our energy from waste plant. And there's a cost with that. It costs more than it does to recycle the waste.
What's collected here ends up here, the county's recycling plant. Inside, there's further sorting, sifting and separating of what is asked for and what isn't.
Well, we get a wide variety, things like DIY waste, bricks, large bits of timber, large bits of steel, which can physically damage the plant, electrical equipment and electronics, food waste and kitchen waste, mainly the liquids within it, and the papers and the cardboard in particular, absorb the liquids, and it just, instead of being recycled, we're having to send materials away to be disposed of.
The council says it's cracking down, with warnings followed by action.
The resident will receive a letter in the post explaining why the bin was tagged and it wasn't emptied either. If it happens again, the following collection round, again, another letter will get sent to them. Happens again, a third letter gets sent and their service is withdrawn until they speak to one of our recycling officers. If the resident agrees to do things properly, they then reinstate their service. If they then re-offend a fourth time, the service is then withdrawn.
For good.
For good.
The residents who do it right are being thanked. Those who do it wrong have been warned. Johnny Blair, ITV News, Northumberland.
Next tonight, much of our life is lived online these days. We take photos, we send messages, and all of those are stored on our devices. So what happens to all of that when we die?
Well, a recent study shows that the majority of us care about who has access to our digital remains, but many of us don't know how we can manage that access. Experts say the law needs modernising to ensure the wishes of the living and the dead can be respected. Hannah Ludlow reports.
A moment of joy between a dad and his daughter. Now a precious memory. Rachel's husband Matt was the family photographer. When he died suddenly in 2015, Rachel tried to access his iPhone.
My daughter was only 6, so I thought actually for her, the younger you are, the more difficult it is to remember a parent that's died. So I wanted to get those memories really for her, so she would have a lasting memory of him.
Although she was his sole heir and executor, Apple refused to let Rachel into Matt's iCloud account. It took a 3-year court battle for Rachel to finally get access.
The weirdest thing is that you can inherit houses and cars and bank accounts, but actually what you want is the memories of your late husband.
Every day we share, store and upload parts of ourselves in digital form, from photos and videos to messages and metadata. But what happens to all of that when we die, and who has the right to access it? A recent study shows that 76% of us want to decide who has access to our digital remains, but only 28% of us know that companies like Google, Facebook and Apple allow users to manage who can access things like photos and messages. For example, on some social media platforms, you can nominate a legacy contact or request that your account is deleted when you die. Cyber experts like Dr. Stacey Pizzolides in Newcastle say we should make a plan for what we want to happen to our data.
Of course, our lives don't only exist on social media, our lives online exist everywhere. We used to leave things to family, to friends, to our society, and if everything is digital and everything is locked behind a platform, what and how are we leaving it, and do we have a plan for that?
There isn't currently a law around digital remains, and online platforms aren't legally bound to respect the wishes of the person who's died. Dr. Edina Harbinya has spent years campaigning for a law reform.
The UK law has traditionally been hostile to protecting privacy after death. We propose a bespoke access regime where the deceased will have control in the first place, and if they choose not to exercise the control, then we do provide for access to the heirs and other executors.
Rachel is now urging others to plan ahead to avoid future stress.
Make sure that people know how to access your computers or your phones or your laptops or whatever it is. It's really important that you have thought about it.
Hannah Ludlow, ITV News.
And the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, oil prices soar to a 4-year high as the escalating conflict in the Middle East enters its second week. A huge fire in Glasgow stops trains and destroys businesses. And giant killers Port Vale find out who they'll take on in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Now, it's reckoned that up to about 1 in 3 of us could be living with some form of hearing problem, going years often without a proper diagnosis.
New research by the charity RNID says it can lead to things like anxiety, social isolation, and even the onset of dementia.
Well, most people don't check their hearing as regularly as other common appointments like eye tests or dental checkups. Nick Smith reports.
Amateur DJ Marie Ellis relies on her sharp sense of hearing in order to match beats and mix tracks. But up until recently, she didn't realise that her ears weren't performing quite as well as they could be. After years of struggling with tinnitus and finding normal conversations hard to follow, she took an online hearing test.
I didn't realise that there was a problem with my hearing, and it had started much earlier than I originally thought. I was having to ask people to repeat themselves, and then the TV, you don't hear something, so you rewind it, and then I was using the subtitles, and I still hadn't made the connection. We found this test, and that's when the first change began to happen. The lady put the hearing aids in and turned them on. All I remember was I heard the words. It was like the beginnings and ends were there. I had some clarity that I'd not had before.
Marie is one of 18 million people in the UK who are thought to be living with a hearing issue. But the charity, RNID, estimates just 6% of the population had their hearing tested in 2025, despite more than half of over 50s having some form of hearing loss. Yvonne Lycett is an audiologist in Hartlepool and says there's a lack of emphasis on testing hearing like there is for things like teeth or eyesight.
So the importance of hearing checks there to resolve any day-to-day issues people might be having sooner rather than later. Hearing devices and technology help us to be able to program hearing aids to individual needs that can then instill confidence for people wearing hearing aids and give them the benefit of that technology.
There is a simple online test people can take on a smartphone or computer, which just requires a set of headphones, and it could give an early warning sign that you may have a problem.
The digits 069.
7 million people in the UK who would benefit from hearing aids and aren't using them. We think that's because many people don't recognise that they have hearing loss, and so checking your hearing regularly is a really good way of knowing whether you need to do something about it. So there's lots of evidence to show a link between hearing loss and social isolation and loneliness. Because you lose your hearing very gradually over time, you often don't realise that's what's happening. So taking that quick, easy hearing check can help you recognise that there might be a problem with your hearing.
Helping those like Marie finally hear everything again at full volume. Nick Smith, ITV News.
And Simon's joined us now with Monday's Sport.
Powering local sport in the community, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
One door has closed for Newcastle United, another door remains open this week, Simon.
Doesn't it? Yeah, life moves very fast. Forget the FA Cup, the Champions League and Barcelona are back in town. Barcelona, of course, are the Spanish champions and league leaders. They flew into the region last night. They're staying in Northumberland and they face the Magpies in the first leg of their round of 16 tie tomorrow night. Eddie Howe gave his pre-match press conference late this afternoon.
I think the underdog role, to a degree, in my time here, has helped us at times. When we've been in that position where we feel sort of the odds are stacked against us, and we're going to need to use every psychological tool that we can to help us in this game, because it's undeniable we're playing a very, very good team.
The Champions League is Newcastle United's last realistic hope of glory this season. They were knocked out of the FA Cup by their knockout nemesis. But Sunderland were the real FA Cup fall guys this weekend. Port Vale 1, Sunderland 0, or if you prefer, magic of the FA Cup 1, Sunderland 0. The team bottom of League 1 got more than they could have hoped for. The team 57 places higher up the football ladder got precisely what they deserved.
We wanted to give the fans, our fans, a cup run, and it was a big day for us, and we did deliver.
And that's an understatement. An early header against the post aside, the real disappointment in Staffordshire was Sunderland just didn't do enough. The pitch was terrible, a real farmer's field, but a Premier League team can't use that as an excuse. Of course it was Newcastle United fan Ben Wayne, whose mother is a Geordie, who scored the only goal. And in truth, Sunderland came closer to having their goalkeeper sent off than they did to scoring an equaliser. The Black Cats were the Giants who didn't take much killing.
Today they played a good game, so I repeat, full credit for them, but we didn't show enough to win it.
FA Cup romance aside, Sunderland blew a huge opportunity and they'll have to live with that. Newcastle's FA Cup exit came in different circumstances but was delivered by a familiar foe. This was their 5th game of the season against Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, and the Magpies are thoroughly sick of the sight of them. Newcastle won the first meeting, City have won every one since, including both legs of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Newcastle started well and took the lead on Saturday, but City won again, pretty comfortably in the end. There's no time to cry over spilt milk, though, because Barcelona are waiting just around the corner.
We're trying to get through the games and perform and to win, but we're also trying to keep players fit, which is very, very difficult to do. The combination of the two, I don't think we've got the strength at the moment to make loads of changes and keep the same strength in our performance. As much as it's easy to be very negative in this moment, I understand we've gone out the FA Cup, but we have the biggest game in the club's history coming up in no time at all. We've got to get the players ready for that. We've got no time to dwell on this.
There's a lot to say about Newcastle United's strange season, but for now there's no time to say it. Just move on to the next big game and hope tomorrow is a better day. Middlesbrough still have tight hold of their own destiny in the Championship after a ruthless display at Queen's Park Rangers yesterday. This was dominant to the point of dismissive from Borough, who were in complete control of this match from start to finish. They took their chances when they came along. Hayden Hackney's delightful curler was the highlight, but this was a complete team performance. QPR 0, Middlesbrough 4, and Kim Hellberg's team stay in the second automatic promotion place. They're 4 points clear of third.
Very good from the boys, and I'm like I said, I'm just enjoying work with them, and watching them play football is a joy to do. So happy and proud of them.
A setback for Harrogate Town in their bid to stay in the Football League. They lost 4-1 to the MK Dons, and Harrogate are back on the bottom of League Two. But York City's bid to get into the Football League remains on track. They beat Eastleigh 3-1, the Minstermen are second. Hartlepool's playoff bid wasn't helped by a 1-0 home defeat against Halifax, but Gateshead's Great Escape bid continues after a 2-1 win at Solihull. And let's marvel again at the indestructible Lucy Bronze. Northumberland's finest scored in England's 2-0 World Cup qualifying win over Iceland. It was Lucy's 145th international appearance. Away from football, a cracking weekend for the Newcastle Eagles men. They were badly hit by injuries, which in basketball means less rest and more play, but they still managed 2 league wins at home to Cheshire and away at Bristol. And well done Newcastle Thunder, the rugby league team who went more than 2 years without a win before the new championship season. They've now won 3 out of their first 5 games, including yesterday's victory at Swinton Lions. But there was heartbreak at the Winter Paralympics for Jason Keane from Cramlington today. He narrowly missed out on the semi-finals of the wheelchair curling mixed doubles alongside partner Joe Butterfield. They had to beat Italy to qualify for the final 4 and stay in contention for the medals, but Jason and Joe agonisingly lost by a single point.
Simon, thanks very much. Now to Northumberland and the special place playing host to a special horse, getting ready for a very special race. Yes, we'll stay in the sport.
Very special. This Friday, Adam Nicol-trained horse Minella Study is being backed at low odds to win the opening race on Gold Cup Day at the Cheltenham Festival. A race you can catch here on ITV1, of course.
And the secret to the stable's success might just be the world-famous North East Beach in Bamborough, where the horse runs out most mornings. Greg Easteel has been along.
There are grinds and there are gallops. There are runners and there are riders. But how many horses get to train in heaven? For Northumberland trainer Adam Nicol, Bamborough Beach, the perfect proving ground for his highly fancied Minella Study.
It's just been voted the 3rd best beach in the world, and it's literally on the doorstep. But the sand is very good for the legs because it's not going to jar them up. We can get them in the sea there, like they're doing there now, cooling down, and it's great for the legs. Give the horses a lot of turnout at home, which they love. But I think coming to the beach is a bit different. It's not like up and down the same gallop every day, so it definitely keeps their mind right.
There's a strong sense at the stables that the stars are aligning for Minella Study. It's already won on the Cheltenham course, a small team's caring for every detail of its preparation, and a former Grand National winner is ready to ride it home.
Yeah, Cheltenham. It is. Look, it's our Olympics. It's our everything. It's everybody wants to have winners at Cheltenham.
It's a special stables, this one, and a special place, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's different from anywhere I've ever been before. I mean, it's just as soon as you come in here, it's just a great chilled vibe, and all the horses are happy. They all look well, and been able to take them down the beach and do so much different with them. And you know, the team here are incredible. You know, the attention to detail and the thought that goes into it. I think it's just a very special place. So
You're only as good as your training, and you need the stock. It's a bit like Formula One racing. You need to be in the best car, and everything needs to click and gel and work together. And we're very lucky that we've managed to get a horse that's like having the best car on the track. So you know, we've got to go there and get a bit of luck at the end of the day, because it's very tough and there'll be a big field, and hopefully we can get the job done.
Right car, right team. Could be a right day for you, couldn't it?
Oh, definitely. I haven't booked anywhere on the Friday night, but we'll worry about that after we've had a few pints, you know.
This beach, that course, and this horse. You wouldn't bet against them, would you? Greg Easteel, ITV News, Northumberland.
Wonderful, wonderful. Big week at Cheltenham. You can watch it here on ITV, of course. Ross, what have you got for us? The pictures there look fantastic.
Enjoying Bamburgh. It's consistently voted one of the best beaches in the UK and the world. And you can see why, can't you? It's just the beautiful sands.
I was there yesterday, actually, in glorious sunshine yesterday.
You picked one of the best places to go, I have to say, this whole weekend because of the sunshine. If you're into sunshine for parts of the region, this was the weekend for you. Looking like this, hardly a cloud in the sky. Yeah, we'll head back to Bamburgh. Why not? So yeah, hardly a cloud for many. A bit more cloud was developing today, as we saw in the shots there, but we hold on to those mild temperatures around 14 degrees. But yes, lots of sunshine for most, if not all of us. We have this slice of sunshine right through the weekend. So this is Saturday and Sunday. The satellite and rain radar will fast forward through the overnight period because you can't see anything. Cloud coming back, as you can see there, Bamburgh just clinging onto that sunshine. It made a massive difference when it came to sunshine amounts. So this is for the full weekend. Just down the coast at Bulmer is our closest sunlight observation station. 18 hours of sunshine. Not quite as sunny for North Yorkshire, being seen much of the country. 0 hours of sunshine. So yeah, although we saw some brighter breaks today with those mild temperatures, things are about to change. Here's your forecast.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
We did get a few mild sunny spells today. The cloud, though, never too far away, and that is the theme through the next few days. Yes, some brighter breaks, some sunshine, but the cloud is always lingering. Wet and windy at times, as well as low pressure moves its way in from the west. Mild for now, but even that's set to change as we head towards the end of the week. So low pressure's nearby. Band of rain moving its way in from the west with us late Tuesday into the early hours of Wednesday. Disappears quite quickly, but there's a squeeze on the isobars showing those blustery winds. And then later Thursday, another area of rain moving through. Now this one again comes with some strong winds. It's also a cold front. Behind that, we're dragging down this colder air. A marked drop in temperatures as we look towards a Friday. Could see some hill snow in the mix as we end the week. For now it is rain taking us overnight, but it's patchy, the odd heavier burst here and there. But for most of us it should stay dry into the early hours. The clouds coming and going, the winds from that south to westerly direction. So with that combination, temperatures do hold up at around 7 or 8 degrees as the overnight low. That's about right for the average daytime high for this time of year. So we know for March it's a mild start into tomorrow morning. Similar to today, the wind's doing us a favour and they're coming up from the south-west, so the cloud is thinning and breaking as it moves its way over higher ground. A little bit of patchy rain trying to come and go. For most of us staying dry, temperatures hold up at around 11 or 12 degrees. Later Tuesday and into Wednesday, there's a narrow band of rain there. Some heavier bursts at times as we head through the late evening into the early hours. It clears away, and again we're looking at those brighter breaks developing, cloud coming and going, just a few showers dotted around as we head into Wednesday. Further rain moving through on Thursday. By Friday, we are going to notice that fall in temperatures.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Thank you, Ross. In just a moment, the national and international news.
I'll be here with the update this evening at around about 10:30. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.
Take care.